I think the consensus with this 2020 draft class is that it's one of the weaker classes of the last 5 to 10 years. But the fun of that is we all know we're all terrible at projecting this talent. Like everybody has hits and misses, and I know I'll have some in this class. I'll talk about one here later. But, ultimately all it'll take is for one of or two of these kids really to become a franchise type player. And then in hindsight, the class looks much stronger than we anticipated. Now, I want to be clear here. I know this is first impressions, right? These kids have barely got started here. 1-2 preseason games at that. The fact of the matter is there was no summer league, obviously a shortened training camp. So I think this is a very exciting preseason. So let's go in order here. The number 1 pick, Anthony Edwards, the Ant-Man. Look, it hasn't been impressive with the numbers and it hasn't been efficient, right? What do you have, like 12 points last night? I don't think he's going to put up big numbers at all this year just because there's so many mouths to feed in Minnesota. When you look at Towns, D'Lo, and then Malik Beasley thinks he's a number 1 option. So, there's nights where Edwards may be eating 4th or 5th on the list. I don't think that's how it should be, but Ryan Saunders, he has his work cut out for him. I hope he has like a real estate license or something, but I digress. That's for another time. Anthony Edwards. The first thing that jumped out to me is his size. Now, I want to bring this, I'm going to categorize these kids in this video by saying like, they either, one, they look the part, meaning they look kind of what they've been listed at, or they look smaller or they look bigger. Pause. And that's, those of you that don't get the pause culture in basketball, it's simply because the term sounds so crazy. I used to coach, and when you're talking hoops, like literally you're saying crazy, hey, you need to get inside of him, right? His length is too much. Right? That's where it comes from. But anyway, so each of these prospects, I'll just say on the court, Edwards looks the part. He looks big. He looks every bit of 6'5", 220 pounds. His handle is something that he's going to have to figure out, where I think he needs to model his downhill attack more like a Westbrook or a John Wall. Big push crossovers and hesitations. Less is more when you're that caliber of athlete. And what you see him, he's in love with that little in and out dribble in transition and getting downhill. The problem is he doesn't do it right. The key to an in and out dribble is selling it with your leg, your off leg, the ball, the way you're pointing towards, right? You step and you sell it with your shoulder and then you bring it back. And he kind of just does it with his hand. And so it's not fooling anybody. So he's going to have to figure that out. I think I saw him last night once. He took a nice pause, a little hezzy, and then exploded to the rim like you see a Westbrook do. I think that's for him downhill. Now, the shot selection, again, I don't know how many shots he's going to get. I want to see him shoot more off the ball, coming off screens and things like that. But most of his shots came off of the bounce, and we know at this point he's kind of inconsistent with that. But he had a nice chase down block. Again, he looks the part. He jumps off the screen. So I'm intrigued to see him. I think we're going to see these flashes all year long, but I just don't know how much opportunity he's going to get. I'm interested to see it. D'Lo is a very willing passer. And Towns, sometimes it doesn't seem like he's that interested in scoring, right? Towns plays in spurts. And so, Edwards, there is an opportunity for him to grab the reins and kind of say, hey, man, like I want the ball right now, right? But we'll see how that plays out. All in all, I think it's going to be fun to watch, and I think he looks as to be expected at this point. Again, I think he's going to have a hard time competing for Rookie of the Year because I just don't think the numbers are going to be there. He's not going to be efficient enough, and the numbers aren't going to be big enough. He's not going to fill the stat sheet. Now, the number 2 pick, James Wiseman, has yet to play. Warrior fans, if you're like, Al, what's good with the preseason game? I've told you, I'll tell you again, go check my Patreon, man. It's as little as $1 a month. I cover every Warrior game. And when I say cover every Warrior game, what you're getting is 12 to 15-minute breakdowns of each game the next day. You don't have to look at me. It's highlights. It starts at the beginning. So if you missed the game, I got you. It'll cover the whole storyline, all the narratives, and all the big moments in the game. And if you already saw it, like most of you already are thirsty to watch, right? Now you're going to just get it through my lens and through my perspective and maybe some things that you didn't catch in the game. So go check that out. I'll cover some Warrior stuff here, like I normally do. But if you're like waiting for it right after and you can't wait, that's where you're going to find it. So we'll move on. We'll talk about Wiseman when it gets there. They sound very excited about him. The number 3 pick, Lamello Ball. He looks big out there. He looks tall, like he looks all of 6'8". He kind of looks like a baby giraffe though, meaning like you can tell he had an extreme growth spurt. He looks a little wobbly, right? I don't think he's fully comfortable in that big lanky body. He's got some growing to do, just getting comfortable in that body, right? And look, I don't throw this around lightly because he's a Bay Area legend, an NBA legend. But Melo kind of reminds me of Jason Kidd, man. He kind of reminds me of Jason Kidd. Obviously, very different builds. But the fact that he's rebounding and pushing the ball like that, it's like, that's kind of Jason Kidd-like. Then you mix in the vision, and he's probably even more flashy than J. Kidd. I don't know. J. Kidd was flashy for his time, right? But that's what I want to talk about most, and that's what stuck out to me most was how much he's rebounding the ball. And look, he's 6'8", but it's more than that. He appears to be a skilled rebounder. Like he does it with timing and that cliche of a nose for the ball. Like he kind of just has a nose for the ball. He did have a couple Russ rebounds, I like to call them, where he snatched them away from his teammates, right? But I think the context is different because when Russ does that, a lot of the time, no one else is going to touch the ball for the entire 94 feet. Where LaMelo is going to grab it and go, and he's going to create something for someone else. And so I think his teammates are going to be much more inclined to let him grab that rebound and start the break because ultimately him rebounding so well, what it does is it allows him to get to his superpower. And that is his ability to push the ball, his vision and his creativity in transition. And so it just lends itself to the rest of his game. And it's very intriguing. I liked his demeanor. I thought he had, everybody's concerned about, I think, the motor, right? Both he and Edwards, I thought their motors were fine, albeit, look, part of this is a honeymoon phase with all of these kids, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, right? But right now, everybody wants to put their best foot forward, and everybody is focused and fresh. But, yeah, man, LaMelo, I think it's clear. I think he's going to hunt triple-doubles. I think he's going to get triple-doubles. And right now, I think he'd probably be my Rookie of the Year favorite because of the triple-double numbers. Everybody loves those, the voters, right? At Charlotte, I think they're going to be sniffing around a playoff berth. And he's just going to fill the stat sheet, right? He's getting 7, 8 rebounds. I think the scoring is going to be the most difficult thing for him. As far as his shot goes, he's settled down. It's more of a set shot, right? But ultimately, look, he has that flared elbow, the ball elbow. And the release ends where it should, straight, when he's shooting it right. But the reality of it is it's an extra part to his shot. Instead of going from A to B, a straight release, right? It kind of goes from A to B to C. So there is an extra part to his shot. And what can you say? You don't like it. You don't love it. I don't know how consistent he'll ever be with that thing. But the confidence, he kind of wills it in. But I think you'll see a lot of nights where he might have 10 rebounds, 12 assists, and 7 points, right? It'll be the scoring, I think, that comes hardest to him. And I think what will go a long way as far as him scoring more is he can't shy away from contact. Again, it's very early on, but when he gets downhill, he has an array of floaters and he kind of leans away and he doesn't look like he wants much contact or wants very much. He's not very interested in getting to the line. And that would go a long way as far as him just filling up the numbers and scoring the ball more because the perimeter shot, I don't know. There's a lot of parts to it. The number 4 pick, Patrick Williams in Chicago, I hadn't seen enough of him at Florida State. He missed some games when I was looking at Vassell. I didn't see enough of him. And I thought it was a risky pick, but I get it now. Bulls fans. I think we all get it now. You look at him on the court again. Let's talk about the size. He looks big. He looks even bigger than advertised. And he has Kawhi-like characteristics. I just threw around the Jason Kidd with LaMelo, but he has the big square frame, right? Huge hands. You can tell his hands are big by he's almost ambidextrous, particularly in the paint, because it's like, it's like holding a freaking tennis ball for him, right? So he can just go to either hand very easily. He's more fluid than Kawhi, right? But I'm not quite sure he's that caliber athlete, and he's got a long ways to go, right? Kawhi is such a unique athlete. I hate to compare anybody to him, but look, it's the same archetype, right? You see some of these physical characteristics, and he's confident, he's strong, he's explosive. Right now, I think he very well could be, he's going to be one of the guys in the Rookie of the Year conversation, I think, given the opportunity. Chicago, I think they're one of these teams that has somewhat of a pecking order problem. I know Levine gets up the most shots, but no one's really established. And so we'll see what type of opportunity he gets. I don't see why they wouldn't give him plenty of opportunity at the wing there. And so I'm impressed, man. I mean, I'm impressed. I think he looks the part, and I get Chicago kind of taking the big swing with him at number 4, just based off his physical tools. The jumper looks smooth, right? And he just seems like a confident young player. Number 5, Isaac Okoro, I think, is the surprise right now, at least for me. If y'all have been paying attention to my thoughts, I had him outside of my top 10. I flat out, I was not a believer in his shot, and I thought he was a little smaller than what people thought he was, and that's what it appears like on the court, right? Again, I'm scaling. You can't really tell the scale of these guys until they get out there and you're seeing them against the players we're all familiar against, right? They can list them how they list them, but when they get out there on an NBA floor, then you get more of a sense of their actual size, and he's a little bit smaller than you'd like for a wing, but you could argue, has been the most impressive rookie thus far. Now, they've only played the Pacers, and I think that when you're dealing with a slasher, I think slashers tend to look very good in preseason because not a lot of guys are looking to go up and challenge dunks and drivers. They're not looking to step in and take charges, right? And so if you're an aggressive slasher, it benefits you in preseason. I will say that, but I don't want to take anything away from him because he shot the 3 confidently, and that's something I wasn't sure he was going to do. He kind of reminds me of like Corey Maggette. I know, you could love it or hate it, Cavs fans. I know Warrior fans is cringing, right? But like his want to get to the line and seek contact, right? He's right away gonna shoot 6-7 free throws a game, even more if he's gonna slide into that 2-guard spot. Now, Colin Sexton hasn't played yet, and Okoro's also played like 30 plus minutes in these preseason games. I thought that was interesting because of this shortened, weird, condensed preseason, you're looking at the minute totals. No one's really playing over 20 minutes. It doesn't matter who you are. Everybody's kind of being cautious, but Cleveland, they're rolling him out there for like 35 plus minutes. I thought that was interesting. They're like, all right, go ahead. So if they're going to kind of empower him and his thirst to get to the line, he's going to put up a ton of numbers. We know what he brings to the table defensively. So, hey man, he looks like he might be the guy that I was wrong on. I didn't really take into account that he was going to get to the line like that. It is early, it's preseason. But if he can do that, we already knew what he brought to the table as kind of a versatile defender. So I think Cleveland should be excited about what they've seen from Okoro thus far. Obi Toppin, Knick fans, I'll say he looks skinny. He looks every bit of 6'9", 6'10", but I think, playing at Dayton in that conference, he maybe looked a little bit, a little more muscular and physical than he does. You get him out there on an NBA court, and he looks pretty thin. He's been inefficient, okay? But I'm not too concerned with it. I think, like a lot of these rookies, he's a bit sped up. If you watch his natural rhythm, particularly shooting, it's a little bit slower. He kind of plays in second gear when it comes to shooting. And he's a little bit sped up. And then the other thing I noticed is he's shooting deep threes, like 3-4 feet behind the arc. That's great that he's confident with that, right? But we'll see how long that continues. Thibodeau seems to have green-lit him. And he's kind of thirsty from 3. It looks like he views himself as a stretch 4. And he's taking a lot of perimeter shots, and they haven't been falling. But my eye test says they'll start to. I don't know about the super deep ones, but I think he's just got to find a rhythm and find some comfort. And again, this is another team kind of lacking a pecking order. And so, Julius Randle, Toppin, Barrett, there's going to be, I don't know. I don't know what the chemistry is going to look like. But Toppin, he looks thin defensively. I think he might be right to focus on scoring from the perimeter because defensively, I don't know who he's going to guard, man. I don't know who he's going to guard with the hips, and then he's so thin. We'll see if he puts up on, you say, okay, well, maybe he can put on some size. And remember, Toppin's 22 years old, so, I don't know. I think eventually he's going to make those perimeter shots and he's going to stretch the floor. That's fine. I just don't know what else he's going to do. I didn't see a lot of pick and roll action. They don't really have a pick and roll guard. I guess Barrett, right? He could be a vertical threat, but I'm very curious to just see how the pecking order aligns in New York with Thibodeau, and if he continues to pull the trigger from that far out on the floor. Killian Hayes. Remember, everybody at the Ringer, all these contrarian dudes that pretend like they can scout basketball, had him like the number one dude on their boards. Come on, man. Anyway, look, we've all heard the D-Lo comparison, the James Harden comparison, a 6'5 lefty. He likes to step back. He has good footwork. Here's the thing. Killian doesn't get any separation, right? It was no secret. He's not an explosive athlete. And you say, okay, that's fine. D-Lo doesn't get much separation. Harden does, right? With his strength, he can create a lot of separation. The difference between Killian and those two is his release and his set point. He has a much lower release on his shot, and so not getting separation doesn't work for him. If you go watch some D-Lo highlights, right? He takes a lot of contested shots where he didn't create separation, but he's got such a high release, he gets it off, and such a high arcing shot. And Killian Hayes has that low release, so he needs more separation. And then I've seen him, I thought he'd be on ball more, to be honest with you. Like, if he's going to be standing in the corner, I just don't know what kind of a value he brings. It's early, right? But, DeLon Wright's had the ball. Blake Griffin, I think where he could shine is in a pick and roll game with Blake Griffin. The problem is Blake Griffin doesn't really play that way anymore. Like LA Blake Griffin, right? He was all about the pick and roll with CP. Once he went to Detroit now, he likes the face-up game. He likes to pass out of the post, right? It's a different Blake Griffin. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. Look, I don't think Killian's going to be a bust. I just didn't see all the talk of the top of the food chain in this draft class, and I think we're seeing that, and it's because a lack of separation and a low release. He's going to have a hard time shooting the ball. That's just what I see. Last one I'll cover, Denny Avia. I told you he had the juice. And he just came out confident, right? There was no fear playing Durant in Brooklyn. They were kind of flexing on him, and he just came out and played basketball, right? I know that Coach Nick over at Basketball Breakdown, he kind of made a lot about Avia not dipping the basketball, not dipping into his shot. I've from what I've noticed, a lot of Europeans don't do that. I think they're taught that, particularly like a quick corner shot or something where it's a situation where they don't have that time. It's like you get it and you can just flick it, right? But what I see is when he has time to actually step to his shot or he's in movement, he's got a little dip. He steps, he dips. I think it's just slight, one, because he plays very upright. He doesn't play low in his hips anyway. And then two, at 6'10", he doesn't need to generate that much energy, right? He can shoot it. He can afford to shoot it like a big, where it's kind of more of just an arm flick shot, less is more. And look, he runs the floor. He's not scared. He's big. He's versatile. I think we're going to have quite a few teams that were disappointed that they passed him up. But look, it remains to be seen. The thing that I like about Denny is I'm confident that he's going to push through his struggles, because be clear, all these kids are going to struggle at some point and they're going to go through slumps. And what I was talking about earlier was this honeymoon phase. Everybody's confident right now. Like you saw Cole Anthony. I'll talk more about him. I think he has a chance to be a steal. I don't think he got a fair cut at North Carolina, but that's for another video. But look, all these kids are confident right now. Obi's launching from 28, 30 feet, right? The question is, how resilient is their confidence? Because they're going to hit bumps, they're going to hit slumps. Are they going to keep shooting? Are they going to remain confident? Or is it going to waver, right? Is it going to get shaky? And that's what we're going to find out about these kids. And that's why I like to bet on the players with the quote, the juice, right? A Denny Avia, where he's going to push through. He has a genuine confidence like Okoro. It looks really good right now. But if he goes through a cold month, is he going to still be as aggressive? I think what's going to help him is getting to that free throw line, right? So again, this is just a small sample size, but I think this class is going to turn out better than what was projected when we go back, 4 or 5 years from now. That's just my initial take. I think we got a lot of guys ready to play. Let's see what their mental toughness is and how genuine that confidence is, or if guys just lose it, because that's what's going to happen. There will be 2 or 3 of these guys come, February, March. They're just not going to want to shoot the ball anymore. Their confidence, they'll be questioning if they belong in the NBA, and some guys just don't recover from that. Right? And that sometimes is the separator. All these kids are talented, so we're going to have to just watch it play out. Anyway, hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.